Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brilliance of Humanity Summit. I don't know about you, but I am getting so inspired with all these amazing conversations that we're having with people. And today's conversation is just going to inspire you even more because it is my pleasure to welcome Wendy Gerlach. Wendy, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Thanks for asking me to be here.
Oh my gosh, you are just brilliant. We're going to talk about you in just a minute, but we kind of want to get some context around this. So, one of the things you and I talked about is this brilliant work you are doing with Behind the Lens PHONE-TOGRAPhy. And as you and I were talking, you were talking about this way that you feel like you can actually reframe how people see the world around them through the work you are doing through this phone lens. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have got to come on the summit and talk about this. And that's how we actually got here. So, Wendy, you do so many different things, and I think we'll kind of weave that in. But I am so curious to know, like, you're not only this person who's behind this lens of the phone, you do so many other things as well. But how did you get to this point?
There's only one explanation, and it's the Lord, 100%. So I got here just from, first of all, my love of photography, and we know the power of social media for sure, and it's the power of a vision of seeing a beautiful picture. So I had posted something online, and somebody at one of our local clinics saw it and reached out to me and asked if they could purchase that print because they were remodeling or redoing the cardiac um, pediatric room. And so it was a frog on a bright, bright pink dahlia. It was just lovely. And so that one photo turned into them wanting to commission me for their entire clinic. So we have 64 prints throughout the cardiology department and cardiology rehab center, which turned into people starting to see that. And as you're posting it on Facebook and more businesses wanting it, and now we're in some local coffee shops and we're in the mall, and it just is really growing, and God is continuing to open doors. But what I love about it the most are the stories that have come from people who are feeling that connection, that connective piece to seeing something, to visually looking at a piece of art. And when you can feel so connected to it, I had gotten a call from a gentleman who had been at the cardiac rehab center. And he called me one day and he said, there's a print that you have that I am certain is from Itasca State Park. And my wife and I used to volunteer in the Park Rapids area. And it's her birthday coming up. And I wanted to give this print as a gift to her. We used to go to Itasca all the time when we would be after we'd be volunteering, and she's been suffering with dementia.
Hmm.
And I just think that if we could show her that picture, that maybe it would bring back some memories for her.
Hmm.
So I was so excited to get that canvas made for him, and I followed up with him on his bride's birthday and said, "Happy birthday to Barbara. Did you give her her gift yet? And what did she think?"
Hmm.
And there was this pause and the most tender-hearted conversation. And he said, Wendy, we had the best conversation. She remembered everything. We talked for about an hour about that time in our life. And to know that art made that connection for them. And there are so many studies that talk about how art is so healing for our souls. It's healing for our minds. It's healing for us physically.
Hmm.
And so it's such a powerful tool to be able to use. And, we all have one of these in our pockets these days. And I find myself as I'm driving down the road, I'm not necessarily paying attention to, well, I hope I'm paying attention to the road ahead of me,
I hope
but
you are.
I hope I am, but I'm often looking to the left and to the right. Where is the beauty? What can I capture? What's going to speak to someone? How can I capture this so that it speaks to someone? It's not necessarily what we take a picture of, but how we take that picture. So it's such a powerful, powerful thing. And it's been a beautiful journey so far.
Well, and I know one of the things that you and I talked about in advance is that people are often missing the beauty that's right in front of them. And what's
Yeah.
so fascinating to me about what you do is you take this thing that can be so distracting And you actually turn it around and say, but you have a choice in how to use it. And you have a choice in how to actually reframe the way, not only that you're using the phone, but the reframe of how you're looking at the world by choosing to see that beauty and choosing to capture the essence of humanity through these photos. You're amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. I remember leaving Walmart one day, and as I was driving by this boulevard, there was this giant boulder. It had a post in the center of it. So I'm sure it was like for a fence post kind of thing. It was just this great big giant piece of cement. But surrounding this cement were all these beautiful yellow flowers, these delicate, beautiful, some people would call them weeds. They were beautiful little wildflowers. And so I had to turn my car around and go back and look at that, because what I saw in that was, how many times do we look at an obstacle that's in front of us that seems insurmountable, that seems like it's going to absolutely stop us, right? It was a big cylinder. It was gray. It was ugly. It was hard. And how are you going to get through that? And what God spoke to my heart in that moment is, no matter what the obstacle is in your life, look around it, because you are still surrounded by beauty.
Amen.
Surrounded by beauty.
That's so true. And not just are we surrounded by beauty, but beauty comes from within everywhere. And sometimes I think it's really easy to forget that we all have this piece of beauty. We all have this piece of brilliance. And isn't it fascinating that sometimes it's almost easier to find it in other people than it is yourself? What is that?
I don't know, but you know what? That's another thing that's just so powerful about this tool, is helping to draw the beauty out of someone else. You know, when you are photographing someone, because I've gotten into some portrait work now. I've even shot a wedding with my cell phone. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, shot a wedding with my cell phone. So I've done senior portraits. I've done some prom pictures, shot a wedding, family photos, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of people that feel very uncomfortable being in front of the camera. But it's what you can draw out of them so that they can begin to see the beauty within themselves.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, 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 yes. I'm voting that I agree. Yes, I am. So I kind of want to take us back to this moment, because you sent me this picture when you were vacuuming.
Oh,
and we have got to talk about the vacuum story, because this is not just story. This is an accounting of this, I would call almost like this miraculous moment when you cannot deny that there was this bigger calling to you to do this work. Tell the vacuum story, please.
Okay, so I owned a cleaning company for roughly 25 years. And it was such a blessing in my life. And I loved it for a really long time. But towards the end of those 25 years, I remember as I would be cleaning and my heart would just be crying out to God, there has got to be more. There has got to be more than this. I feel so wasted here. And it was scrubbing another toilet, wiping another kitchen sink, doing more dishes, vacuuming more floors. And it was just so mundane. And I remember just like almost like this bitterness welling up within me as I'm vacuuming. And I finished vacuuming that room. I walked around to go and unplug the vacuum cleaner, and the vacuum cord, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Was shaped like a treble clef in music. And what the Lord spoke to my heart in that moment was, everything that you do is an act of worship to me. What is your heart position as you are vacuuming? What is your heart position as you are cleaning a toilet? What is your heart position? So God showed me how to find the magnificent in the mundane. And that's what we really need to work to do as people, because so often how many people feel like you're just like the gerbil in a cage? It's again and again, and it's hit the snooze, it's get out of bed, have the cup of coffee, drive in the car, go to work. If you're sitting in the cubicle, it's punching the clock. It's every day looks the same. And we get to have almost this zombie-like feeling. Yeah. And it becomes difficult for us to see the beauty that we are surrounded by. And so stop, just stop and pay attention to what's around you. Go in your backyard and look at the beauty that's there, whether you're looking for insects or butterflies or birds or whatever it is. I live about 6 blocks from the river, and I see deer and I see turkey and rabbits and all kinds of things. But when we're so busy running to the next place and running to the next place and the next kids activity, we have glorified busy,
Yes.
and we have forgotten to just slow down and enjoy. We were not designed to be going, going, going. And actually, the invention of this has kept us plugged in ways that are so unhealthy. So honestly, if we can unplug from this and plug back into life. So I want to use this as a way to help people reconnect with nature, reconnect with who we were created to be, why we are here, and to see that the world is beautiful.
And the world is so beautiful. And I love when we talked about reframing the way that people see this world around them.
Yeah,
There's something I'm going to use the term, it's almost so magical. When we shift our eyes to seeing the beauty, we do see beauty in things that maybe in the past we wouldn't have seen as beautiful. And we truly do have a choice on how we want to look at things. And
absolutely.
what I also love about that you're talking about is the slow down piece. It's and you're right, we have glorified the busyness. We've glorified this, oh, if I can get it done faster, that it somehow our worth gets tied to, oh, I can do all these things so fast.
Yeah,
And I love the way that you're sort of challenging and pushing up against that and saying, maybe there's a different way of looking at that. And what is that different perspective, and how might that serve not only you, your family, your community, our entire humanity? Like, have we
absolutely.
gotten so busy that we don't even have time for our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, all the things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm curious about what inspires you. Like, you talk about this driving and kind of like, keeping your eyes on the road, but also there's that sort of that left and right thing. I'm
Yeah.
curious about, where do you find the most inspiration? Like, do you find that there's certain, like when you have one of those days where you're like, okay, I need to get inspired, what do you tend to do?
The first thing is connecting back with nature,
Mm,
because that's how God created us. That's kind of our, we are tied to that. We are tied to this earth. We are nature itself too. And when we get back into nature, it's just like a regrounding. We need to quiet our head space. So hit a bike path, walk along a river, walk in the woods, just go walking somewhere. Or if you physically can't walk or you're unable to do that, go drive somewhere. Roll down the windows, smell that amazing fresh air, listen to those birds, get reconnected, replug in that way. Because it really clears your head, and
mm,
you begin to, I know I'm always on the hunt. What can I take a picture of? What is beautiful? And how can I see it in a different way that it's going to inspire someone else to see it in a different way?
mm.
And so I challenge you to do that too. Look at the world a little bit differently, or I often am asking the question too, God, what's the lesson here?
Yeah.
What are you trying to teach me here? What do you want to show me today?
Mhm.
And be open, be open,
Yeah.
be
Wendy,
open.
one of the things that I hear people often saying when they look at your photos or one of your canvases up is that it's actually healing.
Hmm.
And I want to talk about that because I do believe there's sort of this bigger context I want around this summit, which is healing for people. And
Yeah,
healing can happen on physical levels, emotional levels, spiritual levels. Sometimes it's all the same, right?
yeah.
What do you make, like, I'm kind of like, what do you make up about that? Like, when people, I'm sure you've heard it from other people too, that has felt
Mhm.
healing to them.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Well, I think because I really, as I'm taking pictures, I want to create story. And I want it to feel like you can step into the story of that photo, whatever it is. So for all the pictures that we did at Essentia, we really had a North Dakota, Minnesota focus. So it's a lot of landscape photography. It's a lot of old barns and farmsteads and a lot of acreage and those kinds of things that make a North Dakota girl or a Minnesota girl feel right at home. But I received a message from a gal who was up at the clinic, and she saw an old barn, an old farmstead, and it reminded her of her childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it just made her so happy to go back and remember those days.
Mm.
And so I think when you are intentional about what you're trying to capture, when you are really trying to be able to pull people into a remember when moment, right? It can bring that healing process. Another thing, can I tell you about how I edit?
Oh yeah, you totally have to tell me.
A little bit about how I edit. So on your cell phone, and everything has been done on my cell phone 100%. So when I had this job with Essentia, and no matter what the picture is, I'm just gonna grab a photo here and just show you guys what I'm talking about. So here's, will it show you? Hang on. Maybe it won't show
there.
you.
It was there.
Okay, maybe if I turn it sideways. Hold up. Oh, it wants to put it on the TV. Wow, we don't want to do that. Let's see if
Okay, but I can see it now, kind of.
No, it's blurring out.
There we
Okay,
are.
there we go.
Yeah, we got it.
So there is our photo of an old barn. Okay, so on the bottom, you have this little thing where you can adjust color, saturation, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so it's a little sunshine dial down here. So you go to the sunshine, which is kind of funny in and of itself, right? You go to the sun.
Yeah, I was
look
saying,
to adjust your picture, adjust your attitude, adjust your whatever. You go to the sun. So when I did all my pictures for Essentia, whether I was working with light balance or shadow or highlighting or whatever, there were two numbers that I picked that I wanted either to have both of them in every single photo or at least one of them. The numbers were 33 and 66. Very significant to me. 33 are the number of years that Jesus lived and walked on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
And 66 are the number of books that there are in the Bible.
Mm.
So every single photo that adorns the hallways at Essentia Health, Jesus in some form or fashion is woven into every single picture there. So when you ask, what is it that people see unknowingly, it's him.
Ooh, let's take that in for just a minute. I can feel that. My entire body right now has got, I call it the energetic bus. I can feel, and as you're saying that, I'm just inspired to know that people don't even need to know.
Yeah.
It's there and it's happening.
Yeah.
And maybe someday they will. And also it's still working.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I still love that.
I just love it too. So I just really wanted to, like, Lord, you brought this to me. I didn't go looking for this. I did not go looking for this. It just all of a sudden appeared through Facebook, first of all. And just, it was two things. First of all, it started with that little frog picture. I wish I had the card with me. And it was so amazing, right? And the funny thing is, they didn't end up putting that little frog picture in either of the locations. The little frog is not there. But when I used to teach Sunday school and Awana, when my daughter was little, there was an acronym for FROG, and it was Fully Rely on God. FROG stands for Fully Rely on God. And so when I felt that crushing moment, like, we're not going to put that picture up, and it was taking a while before I heard back because we have to get the board on and the foundation on and the doctors have to agree and all the things. And it took from September until February before we finally got an answer. And then it was, instead of that picture, we'd like to feature your art throughout the entire clinic.
Wow.
And in that moment, it was God saying, you thought it was this. You thought it was just this one picture, but I have far more for you than you could have ever hoped or imagined.
Yeah.
And that's how he works.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so true. So true. It's always bigger, right? Like, we never know.
Yeah.
And when we have that listening and that obedience to this step, take this step, everything else starts expanding.
Yes.
I
Yes.
also had a thought that about this healing place, and it's not about being right or wrong, but just sort of some insider wisdom I would love to put in. You are doing this out of love and
Mm,
care and compassion and empathy. And there is something about when those things are brought to the table, there's healing.
yeah.
And I often think about in the healing work that I've done in my own life that when I feel seen, there is something healing about that in and of itself.
Absolutely.
And there is something about the work that you are doing with the camera phone about being seen. Even the flower, the tree, the nature, there is an acknowledgement of seeing the beauty around us. And I believe that in and of itself is actually opening the door to those healing
Mm,
moments. Now, I could be
beautiful.
completely wrong,
No, that's beautiful.
but as I've looked at your work, obviously I'm a huge purveyor of your work. I have your cards have been getting sent all around the globe.
Yay!
And
Thank you.
there is something that as I look, I feel like, no, this is more than just this picture. There is something here that's being seen and
Mm,
honored and given its moment.
mm,
And the
oh,
what's behind the lens isn't just you. It's the love you're bringing, the
mm,
connection you're bringing, the care you're bringing. And
mm.
I'm voting that that is one of the reasons that there is also a healing component to this.
I love that, Deb. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Well, the work you do is beautiful.
Oh,
Now,
thank you,
I would
friend.
love for you to just share, like, I know, the time always gets so crunchy, but do you have just a couple of tips that you would share with people? I love that you were kind of sharing that little editing thing about 3366 also.
Yeah,
Are there just a couple of tips to share with people if they're using their own phone?
absolutely.
Because
Sure.
I know
Yeah.
you've said to me it's all about it's all about how you use it.
It honestly it is. And the first tip I want to give you guys seems so basic, but it is probably the most important tip that you're going to hear today. Clean your lenses before you take a picture. Wipe these off because you can try and do some different things in in an editing process, but if you have, this goes in your pocket, it's in your purse, it's next to the graham crackers that you're feeding your kid, it's going to get all full of junk. So please, please, please start here. The most important thing is that you are cleaning your focus so that what you can focus on can expand, right? If
Yes.
we're hiding behind a blur, nobody's going to really see what we've got. So that's the number one tip. I'll give you two more. If you are taking, I want you to imagine some flowers. If you're going to take a picture of some flowers, first of all, you want to get down, get low. And that's a position that, that we should be like, just think of as just a low position. Turn your phone upside down. The world is going to look a little different when you turn your phone upside down and shoot in this way. So let's, like if this is your flower, I want you to get below the flower and shoot up. Why? There are studies that show that it actually releases endorphins for us, which is the feel happy, right? And so if you are taking a picture of a flower and you shoot up, so you get some beautiful sky, you're looking at the flower almost growing up, it makes such a beautiful, beautiful picture. So turn your camera upside down, shoot up, look for the light, get close to your subject. That's
Mm,
my next tip. If you have children or you have pets, get to their level.
mm,
So no matter what you are trying to capture, you capture it better when you are on its level, right? We can understand each other better when we are on the same level. The same is true in your photography. Get to the level of what you're trying to tell the story of. So if you want to take a picture of your dog, you better be way down by the ground, right? And it makes a much better photo. It's just so they're engaging and powerful, and to like take a picture of your dog and you can run a few steps ahead of them. I did this with my dog before we knew that we were going to have to put her down. And I'm like, we only have so many days left. And so I would take her for walks and my husband would have her and I'd run a few steps ahead so that I could capture her walking toward me. And then some pictures of her walking away.
Oh, geez.
And it's just when you get on the level of your work, to be on the level of what you're trying to tell the story of. So
we're both dog moms.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
And also, Wendy, what I love about that tip is it ties it right back to humanity.
Yeah.
When we can get on the same level with someone,
yes.
when we can sit and have a conversation, we can heal humanity. Yeah. And just like this lens is taking a better photo, the lens of being with someone can change. And that is also a piece of that reframing the way that we are seeing the world and being with the world. And what I also love, even in the flipping it upside down, sometimes we need to flip what our thoughts are upside down.
Absolutely.
To gain a different perspective. Like every single thing you apply to the lens applies to life.
Yeah.
Are you seeing your keynote here, my friend? I'm waiting for you to be on the stage because it's just so brilliant. You are so brilliant. Wendy, I know you put together something very special for the people that have been choosing to tune into your beautiful talk today. And I mean, friends, this is super, super cool. So talk to us about this awesome freebie that you're going to be offering us.
Yeah. So I thought maybe your listeners might enjoy a photo of the month. And if that sounds like something that would be really fun for you to receive, it will come as a digital print. And it's in like a screensaver size for your phone. Now, I get it. You're going to have your kids on the front page. You're going to have your grandkids. You're going to have, whatever, they're going to be on the front. But you have a home screen and a lock screen. So you've got two screens to work with. So you're welcome to put this wallpaper on your phone somewhere. And it is made for cell phone size. So if we try and blow it up, it's going to look pixelated or not be so great because it has been just made for cell phones. But if you text the word photo, PHOTO, to the number 218-230-2280, you will receive every month a new photo from me. So it's just going to be so fun. So fun.
I am so in for this. I'm in.
I am so fired up. One that just went out now. I've got a really great Christmas one that's going to be coming out. I'm super excited for that one. So we'll send that out December 1 and then there'll just be a new photo for every month. So if you want to be a part of that, 218-230-2280, text the word photo.
It's so simple. Wendy, as I think about you and just this work you're doing in the world, one of the quotes that you had shared with me that was your original was, it's the simple things we see that can bring us back to our soul and reconnect us to what matters. And I just want to thank you for connecting us back to what matters today. You really have taken us on a journey through your lens of the world, the lens of your phone, and the lens that you are viewing humanity with right now. And really connecting us truly back to our soul and grounding in what matters and what's important. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for hugging my heart. And thanks for letting me be a part of this. You are doing amazing work too, my friend. And it's an honor to journey with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And truly the honor's all mine. And also, isn't it awesome to have these incredible connections? So
amazing.
So Wendy Gerlach, Behind the Lens PHONE-TOGRAPHY. Make sure you're connecting with her. Of course, you've got all the details coming from us. Friends, we want to thank you for being a part of this Brilliance of Humanity Summit. We hope you're enjoying it as much as we're enjoying it. So much more to come. Have an incredible day, and we will see you later. Take good care, friends.